Welcome, everybody. Polly. It's so good to see you all here today. My name is Ajax. I am Maya's son. I know that Maya would be delighted to see so many of you here to celebrate her strange, sad, and wonderful life. This might sound odd, but the memorial is my second favorite ritual. Weddings are number one. A wedding is when all your people come together to celebrate you and give speeches about how wonderful you are and tell stories that perhaps no one has heard before. The people in attendance get to know the couple better than they did before, and together they are allowed to feel all kinds of feelings. They can laugh and cry, whoop and dance. A wedding is a gift to us all. The memorial is also a gift. Today, we will celebrate Maya's life and pour out our love for her with stories and songs and prayers. And we are allowed in this space to feel all of our feelings together. We can feel happy, remembering the good times, and we can feel sad, knowing that we will never see her again. My wish for today is that we can all get to know Maya a little bit better, and that Maya, wherever she is, can feel that she is still loved here on earth. We're going to start with one of my mother's favorite prayers, the prayer of St. Francis, read by the one and only Rico Green.
Thanks, Age. This prayer that I'm going to read is one of our favorites. It's meant a lot to me. I'll try not to break up too much. The prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me a channel of thy peace, that where there is hatred, I may bring love. That where there is wrong, I may bring the spirit of forgiveness. Where there is discord, I may bring harmony. That where there is error, I may bring truth. That where there is doubt, I may bring faith. That where there is despair, I may bring hope. That where there are shadows, I may bring light. And where there is sadness, I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather to turn the page, to comfort than to be comforted, to understand than to be understood, to love than to be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, it is by forgiving that one is forgiven, it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life.
Tell the truth, Maya said. The truth is the most important thing. Born Priscilla Sue Hill in Providence, Rhode Island in January of 1941, Maya's childhood was fraught with neglect. My parents worked and drank, she said. I was raised by the maids, and they didn't like me. Her mother was 40 years old when Maya was born, and she was a rare breed, a woman who owned her own successful real estate business. Her father was a kind, humble man who was outshined by his enormously successful wife. Prone to drinking, he would often mumble reassuringly to himself, "I'm not such a bad guy." Maya was a beautiful young girl of means, but she was not allowed to be a debutante due to her association with neighborhood vandals. She was expelled from college for not following the rules. Curfew was not her highest priority. But she was fortunate enough to study in Vienna and travel around Europe as a young woman. Giving up on college, she instead managed to get a job at one of the most prestigious interior decorating firms in New York. And while her tenure at the firm was short-lived, her love of interiors would inspire her for the rest of her life. She dated prodigiously and sometimes inappropriately, from politicians to a young Ted Turner, to guys with names like Laird. She was glamorous enough to always have a date. Once in Boston, a well-heeled suitor invited her to meet the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. But she declined. "I have to wash my hair," she said. She finally settled down after meeting a handsome young banker at a wedding in Rhode Island. After a 3-week whirlwind of reckless romance, the two were engaged, and they remained inseparable ever since. The newlyweds had 2 kids in quick succession and muddled their way through the challenges of early parenthood, using as their Bible not Dr. Spock's Baby and Child Care, but instead using Trader Vic's bartending guide. At 31, Maya's growling depression led her to the doors of a church in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, where she had an epiphany and was reborn. The preacher there said, "Nothing but God should have a power over you." And she realized that until that point, her only divinity was at the bottom of a bottle. "My name is Priscilla," she said, "and I'm an alcoholic," she managed to say for the very first time on May 13th, 1974. On that day, she devoted the rest of her life to sobriety. With the help of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, she inspired hundreds of others to do the same during a staggering span of 52 years of sobriety. Her husband, Rico, embraced sobriety a decade later, and then her children also fell in line. "Nothing makes me happier," she said, "than the sobriety of my family." Maya went back to school and finished her BA at the age of 39, followed by a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. She opened her own practice in Bellevue, Washington, and practiced there for several years before Rico's job took them to California. She took up tennis, sang in an all-black gospel choir, ran a marathon, studied massage therapy, and wrote letters to the newspaper complaining about the violence in Robert Altman's Popeye movie. While Maya's sobriety never wavered, her demons still raged. A fitful sleeper, Maya would obsess over furniture arrangements. Where most of us could see 3 or 4 variations on a room, Maya could see thousands. And with her indefatigable drive, she would try them all. Oftentimes, Rika would go to sleep in one house and wake up in another. She lived in Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, Santa Fe, Florida, and finally Oakland. And everywhere she went, she attended AA meetings, sponsored newcomers, and worked the steps and told the truth. She loved telling her truth, even when it was unnecessary. Even when it was unnecessary. And sometimes the blast radius of her truth shattered relationships with friends and family. But her bold truth-telling also had positive outcomes. She was never afraid to talk to strangers on the street, homeless or otherwise. "I love your hat," she once said to Boots Riley, the famous movie director she ran into one day at an Oakland cafe. In her sunset years, Maya loved picking up garbage around the lake with her trash club, doing crosswords with Rico, and redecorating her friends' houses. She had a lot of ideas about interior decorating, and she was always right. Maya celebrated her 50th year of sobriety by taking a scuba diving trip to the Maldives with her daughter. At age 83, she traveled to the other side of the world to swim with whale sharks. And after a lifetime of tense relations, Maya and her daughter finally found joy together. Maya is survived by her husband, Rico, children Polly and Ajax, and grandchildren Angus, Rosie, and Zap. But Maya's true legacy is the impact she made on her friends in AA. some of which I will quote here. She was just herself, the most genuine friend anyone could ever hope to have. I live a really beautiful life now because I met Maya and because she changed my life. And she gave me hope. And she gave me just joy. More than anything, she gave me the ability to hear God tell me how much he loves me and how much he loves you and all of us. She was one of the special people in my life that have shown me what a beautiful life we can have in sobriety. My sister Polly is going to come up and lead us in a moment of silence. Oh no, she's not. Coming up next, I'm going to sing a song. On Maya's last day on earth, we were all with her. And it was a wonderful day. And we told stories and we sang songs and we said prayers and we helped her on her journey to the other side. And this is a song I sang to her that day. I hope you like it. And I'm going to need your help. And Maya's up there in heaven or someplace. I want her to hear you clapping, okay? Don't stop. Keep clapping. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. You gotta have a friend in Jesus. 'Cause I know that when I die, he's gonna represent me to the spirit in the sky. Gonna represent me with the spirit in the sky. It's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Never been a sinner, I've never sinned. I got a friend in Jesus. And I know that when I die, he's gonna set me up with the spirit in the sky. Gonna set me up with the spirit in the sky. It's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. All right, now. If you guys know the words, sing it one time with me. Because I think we're all gonna die someday. It's a rumor I heard. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. When they lay me down to die, gonna go up to the spirit in the sky. Going up to the spirit in the sky. Where I'm gonna go when I die. When they die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Gonna go to the place that's the best. I'm gonna go to the place. I didn't say stop. Gonna go to the place that's the best.
Okay, wow, that was awesome. I'm Polly, Maya's daughter, and I first want to thank everybody for being here. And the next phase of the program is honoring my mom's spiritual connection. Which, along with her sobriety, I think was the most important thing to her. So what I'd like us to do is honor Maya with a moment of silence and spiritual connection. And so I'm just gonna ring the medicine bowl here, and I ask and invite everyone to close your eyes and honor Maya with your energy and your love and your blessings. Thank you. I'd just like to invite everyone to take a deep breath in and exhale. And slowly open your eyes. And next we're going to have a good friend of both my parents, Martin Rios, read one of my mom's favorite prayers, the third step prayer of Alcoholics Anonymous.
This is the third step prayer. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Thanks.
Thanks, Martin. We'd like to have Bonnie McManus come up and read the 7-step prayer now. Bonnie's been an incredible help to us while we were throwing this memorial, and I'm really grateful for all the work that she's done to help us put on this event. Thank you.
What a privilege to invite you to share in this prayer. For me, it is a prayer of hope for the future, of acceptance, and of surrender, and a vision for a better world, a better experience. And so if you'd like to close your eyes and just relax into this. My Creator, I am willing that you should have all of me, both the good and the bad. Please remove from me any defect of character which blocks my usefulness to you and to my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding always. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Another one of my mother's favorite prayers is Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. At this time, we're going to begin our reflection period. Going first is my father, Rico Green.
I love it that all you guys are here. It's a real treat, real tribute. Thanks for coming. We're here to celebrate Maya. I love the idea of doing that. If you could ask Maya what was the most important relationship in her life? No, not me. Not really even very close. It would be her higher power, her God. You will hear, excuse me, you will hear today many positive attributes she brought to us, all of which were the result of her believing in God and her efforts to do God's will, to live spiritually. It all goes back to her going on a religious retreat in New Hampshire in 1974. She heard a sign, "Ask yourself what you depend on. If it is not God, you're selling yourself short." From that moment on, her life changed. She was an attractive bon vivant, very attractive. Very attractive. She was asked out by Pierre Salinger, Kennedy's press secretary, but as Ajax already spilled the beans, she had to wash her hair, so she couldn't make it. She also went to the Brown University a weekend with Ted Turner, and that didn't last very long. She worked for famous decorators in Washington, D.C., New York City, and even in Rhode Island, she did some decorating. She was spoiled growing up and neglected. Her parents were alcoholic and just couldn't provide any support. She got a lot of financial support, but she didn't get kind of soul support. One of the things that impressed me about her when I first met her was that she never opened a bank statement. She did a marvelous job of putting the unopened bank statements in a laundry or a shopping bag, never to be touched again. She bought a new car with her real estate commissions that she made working for her mother, and but she failed to give me a heads up. So she shows up with this car, and it's in the driveway, and where did that come from? She said, well, I decided to buy a car. I was trying to make the mortgage payment. We clashed from time to time. During her freshman year at Connecticut College for Women in Connecticut, obviously, she was expelled for driving back from Dartmouth College and getting back to the dormitory late. I mean, it sounds ridiculous today, but they threw her out. She went to a series of other schools I'll not bore you with. After finding God, she discovered sobriety. She built a house in Bellevue, Washington, where we moved. She'd always wanted to do that, and she got a chance to. She then found AA, and she went to night school to get her BA degree. She earned a master's degree in marriage and family therapy, which took a lot of hard work and courage to persist. She was constantly beautifying our homes. She helped others with their homes, but more importantly, she helped clients and friends with their life challenges. She was dedicated to telling the truth, painful or not. She had a bias for action. Do it now. Carpe diem, trusting God. But for many years, our family was fragmented. We just struggled to get along, thanks to our higher powers and courage to look at ourselves. The family has come together. What a gift. Thank you, Maya. I love you.
Up next is my aunt, Edie Walker.
I'm here for a lighter note, I think. I'm pretty good at rhyming, so I tend to write, bad poetry. So this is Remembrances of Maya. We're quite a crowd to gather round to honor Maya, a gal profound. She had a mind that wouldn't settle. To interfere, one could not meddle. When on a track, she was a force, and all results perfection, of course. So many talents this lady could boast: smart, stunning, clever, and a memorable host. Multiple gardens she designed at her place, all cozily surrounded by book reading space. Telephone chit-chat was so not her flair, but when you had issues, she was totally there. An interesting fact about her was once said that before getting up, she could make her own bed. Her name Maya came not at her birth, but was later devised with a feeling of mirth. The name Priscilla she'd no longer claim, and Maya occurred to me on a plane. I'm responsible for that. Insistent she was if one didn't comply, and my mother struggled a lot with that. So we all were on board to remain an ally. Totally unique was her earthly spark. There is now a huge void where she once made her mark. So I have something to add, but I was challenged to rhyme anything with interior decorating or furniture. So I'm just going to tell you one thing. My mom was about 97 years old and living in Florida. And she came out to California for A.G. and Jen's wedding. And Polly, in her brilliance, said, "Granny, why don't you move here?" And by some miracle, she said she would. So my husband, Tony, and I took her up to Washington to, lay low for a while. Maya and Rico flew to Florida and had to put together this move, which Granny had no intention of moving, but anyway. Let's see, I'm just making this up right now, but so with the dimensions of Mom's new place in hand, Maya maneuvered Mom's stuff around in her mind to create a beautiful and workable arrangement. This was no easy task since Mom had way too much stuff and had given the instruction to not sell anything. All I can say is that they completed the task brilliantly, although I'll have to say it almost killed them. In short, when Mom arrived at her new apartment in California, her lovely furniture was situated, her clothes were in the drawers and closet, the kitchen was outfitted, and many of her treasured paintings were on the wall. No offense to my dear brother Rico, but I totally credit Maya with the creative aspect of that task. So the only word that comes to mind is genius, and it was genius. Anyway, I will say that's one of the things I'll miss most about her is her genius. But I had a piano teacher once who had this sign on the wall that said, it's 10% creativity and 90% perseverance. I think in Maya's case, it was 90% creativity and 90% perseverance. If it was impossible to do, she was going to do it. But anyway, thank you very much.
I want to tell I'm probably going to cry. I want to tell the truth about my relationship with my mother, because if there was one thing my mother believed in, it was telling the truth. My mom and I didn't always have an easy relationship. For much of my adult life, she didn't really understand the choices I made. I lived a nomadic life. I traveled the world, I kayaked rivers, I made films, I studied yoga and meditation, I followed my own path. And my mother had opinions about that. A lot of opinions. She could be judgmental. She could say things in a tone that left me feeling small. And for years, I didn't really tell her how much that hurt me. A couple of years ago, everything changed. Mom had just started chemotherapy for stage 4 cancer, and she asked me if I would stay in California to help her through her treatments. Somewhere in the middle of all that, I finally found the courage to tell her the truth. I told her how I felt. I told her how her judgment affected me and how the way she sometimes spoke to me made me feel. And something amazing happened. She listened. She didn't defend herself. She didn't tell me I was wrong. And she apologized. And then she said something I'll never forget. She asked me to help her change. And she said, I wish she would have told me sooner. My mother at that time was 83 years old, and she was willing to change. I think that's one of the greatest things she taught me at the end of her life, that it's never too late. It's never too late to tell the truth. It's never too late to apologize. And it's never too late to forgive. It's never too late to become a different version of yourself. Something began to soften between us after that. She began to slowly let go of things from her past. And somehow, as she let go of the past, she was able to be much more available in the present. And then, for her 50th sobriety anniversary, we went to the Maldives. At 83 years old, with stage 4 cancer, my mother traveled halfway around the world with me to go scuba diving and snorkeling. She swam with whale sharks, which was her dream. She danced. She laughed. And she looked out over the beautiful blue water. She was happy. She didn't watch television for the entire 2 weeks, which, if you knew my mother, that might have actually been the greatest miracle. She thanked me for sharing my love of the ocean with her. I remember looking at her and seeing this sparkle in her eyes. The ocean had done something to her, but something happened to me too. For maybe the first time in our lives, we weren't fighting against each other. I wasn't trying to get her approval, and she wasn't trying to change me. We were simply there, mother and daughter, swimming in this beautiful blue sea. I remember my mother saying something that has stayed with me ever since. She said that I had come back to help her die, but instead she had learned how to truly live. Somewhere in that last chapter of her life, I got my mother back. Or maybe for the first time, we really found each other. And that is one of the greatest gifts she could have given me. When Mom died on May 14th, I held her hand as she crossed over to the other side. And I am profoundly grateful for these last few years we had together. It wasn't always easy, but we got to tell the truth. We got to say things that needed to be said. We got to forgive, and we laughed a lot. We got to swim together in the Indian Ocean, the freezing cold Pacific Ocean, and the pool outside of my parents' apartment where she made up names that rhymed with the number of laps she was swimming. Most importantly, we got to love each other without all the old stuff standing in the way. So today, when I think about my mother, I don't only think about what we lost, I think about what we found. And Mom, I want you to know I heard you. I saw you change. I saw you become lighter. And I saw you learn how to live. And I'm so grateful that in the end, we found our way back to each other. I love you, Mom. And I'll see you on the other side.
This is a hard speech to write. It took me a long time because my mother was very high maintenance. And it felt like the person doing the maintenance was me. And in the last few weeks of her life, the maintenance was very, very high. So it took me a long time to write this, but I'm really glad I did. The other day, I had a wonderful dream. I was on the street, and I saw an old woman get off the bus. I looked closer, and I saw that it was my mom. I was so happy to see her again. I walked over, and I gave her a great big hug, and I cried. No words were spoken, but it felt great to hug my mom again. She loved hugs, and so do I. She also loved to complain about her mom, and so do I. This is the appropriate place to get some things off my chest about my mom, right? How much time do we have? You can't talk about my mom and not talk about redecorating. She loved to redecorate, and she was really good at it. My dad would go to sleep one day and wake up the next in an entirely new apartment. I tried to estimate how many times this happened, and I think a conservative number is 12,000. Every permutation and combination of furniture configurations were tried. Pictures were hung and rehung. Whole bookshelves were moved from one side of the room to the other. And it looked great every time. Even at her weakest, she would find a way to move a table. She kept at it relentlessly, as if one day she would finally have everything in its perfect place, and the heavens would open up and let her inside. I guess she did it. I admired her skill, but there was also something sad about it, like she was searching her whole life for the perfect home, but could never quite get there. On paper, she had it all: a devoted husband, attentive children, adorable grandchildren, and enough money to buy very expensive chairs. But I think there was still a hole in her heart that she could never quite fill. Like me, she suffered from depression, and also like me, she refused to take medication. She white-knuckled it to the finish line, and moving furniture helped. Her parents both had jobs, and she was raised by the maid and had a very unhappy childhood. So when she had kids, I don't think she really knew how to be a mom. But she always supported me and encouraged me to be myself, and she rarely complained about my questionable life choices. I don't know why Polly took the brunt of the judgment for questionable life choices, because I certainly made my fair share. As a kid, I loved magic, and she made my dreams come true by taking me to see a performance by the weird mustached magician Doug Henning. She also signed me up for magic classes so that I could learn sleight of hand myself and maybe be a weird magician someday. She also signed me up for a kids' theater group and drove me 45 minutes to class and waited around for an hour to drive me home. This is dedicated mom stuff, and I didn't appreciate it then, but I sure do now. When I was a hippie in Santa Cruz and wanted expensive bongos for Christmas, she made my drum circle dreams come true, only to watch me sell them for rent money a year later. Maybe she was better at being a mom than I was at being a kid. After I left home, I didn't see her much. I would go once or twice a year to visit in Sacramento or Santa Fe or Florida. And I was a brat, and I complained about everything that she liked. Santa Fe sucks, I'd say. Or I'd say, Florida sucks. Depending on where my parents lived, I'd say it sucks. Did I mention I was a terrible kid? I didn't start appreciating her until she moved to Oakland to help me raise my own kids. I needed help, and she pulled up stakes and moved her whole life to the Bay Area just to help me out. And I've been trying to repay that kindness ever since. We spent a lot of time together over the last 20 years, and I guess like all moms, she still drove me crazy. She would want to start planning Christmas in October. I have to start decorating, she'd say. She'd move the furniture in my house without asking and say, it's better now. I'm right about this. I'm always right. I'd complain, of course, but she was always right. She loved Christmas, but she hated buying presents. One year she had had enough, so instead of buying presents, she gathered items from around her house and wrapped them up and gave us those instead. You'd unwrap a wooden frog and wonder, didn't I see this on the mantle last week? My teenage son got a small present wrapped in tinfoil. It was round and heavy, and he was very curious as he slowly opened his gift. It was a yam. Thanks, he said. I was really hoping for a yam this year. My mom's last 5 years were the best. She was diagnosed with lymphoma, which for most people might not be the best news. But a strange transformation came over her after the diagnosis. She became lighter, more animated, less depressed. I have a theory, which of course is right. I'm always right. That the terminal diagnosis was a relief from her lifetime of depression. And when that finish line came into view and became real, she could finally relax, knowing that it would all be over soon enough. Sweet release. But those last 5 years were incredible. She had a new lease on life and became a different woman, a happy woman. She bounced around town, making friends with everyone she met. At the coffee shop, on the street, any place, she'd introduce herself and make friends. And miraculously, after a lifetime of estrangement, she finally made peace with my sister. Their relationship had been tempestuous forever, and for years I had listened to both of them get heated and say, I give up, it's over. But it wasn't over. My sister came home, and they found a way to love each other. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. My mother's dream of belonging to a loving, complete family was at last realized, with the four of us together, celebrating and loving life. I simply could not believe it. It was a miracle. A Hail Mary pass caught in the end zone in the last seconds of regulation play. She scored the touchdown, and she won the game. My mom loved hugs, and I really hope I get some more dream hugs soon. And we have a few friends who are going to come up and say some words. Bill Delaney is first.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill, and I'm going to say I'm an alcoholic because Maya would have me say that. Hey everybody. Wow, this family, I didn't know what to expect today, but first of all, Rico, your voice just cuts right through me. You've got the greatest voice of any man I've ever met. I was at a meeting. I didn't know Maya and Rico. I was at a Rockridge meeting, and Rico ended his share by saying that now his life is different because he has a loving God in his life. And boy, did I need to hear that. Coming from you, that just meant everything, you know. And today, to watch this family, just amazing. I first started hearing Maya at meetings, her shares. There are people here who've heard her share many times. And I said to myself, my God, this woman will say anything, anything. And two things were going on there. She would say anything. She was very frank, very bold, and she dug deeper than most people in AA, I would say. She really did. She would dig deep. The other part of it was that I wasn't taking enough risk in my program. I wasn't speaking up and telling my truths, So this morning when I was thinking, what am I going to say, for this great tribute to a wonderful lady? Wow. I like being emotional. I get there more often than I used to, as my wife will tell you. But I looked at Polly and I tell you, boy. So anyway, Maya had 52 years. I've got 42 years. I'm very proud of that, Work in the program, However, let me tell you about last weekend. My wife and I get invited to a picnic at Tilden Park, okay? And we're busy, and so it comes, and we're finally getting ready, and all of a sudden we read the invitation, and it says, please bring drinks and snacks. And we start looking around, we have nothing, But I walk over, and there's this Pepsi carton. And I look inside of it, and there was like 2 or 3 Pepsis at the bottom of it. But it was a big carton. And I said to myself, I'll walk in with this. Pepsi's for everybody. Whoops, sorry. That must be mine. And so, problem solved. I set it on the kitchen table. We go get dressed. I come back in the kitchen, and my wife is cutting the Pepsi carton in half. And I said, no. And she says, yeah, we have to. Otherwise, it would look like we're bringing more than we're actually bringing. And I said, precisely. That's the whole idea. So this natural tendency to go there and this unnatural tendency to share this in public, that is straight from Maya. Maya said, tell your truth, as people have said over and over. And I had a lot of fun with Maya, a lot of laughs, and she struggled, and we both are, depression vulnerable. We got to talk about that. And when I had the good fortune of being close with Rico and Maya in the last days, last months, we got to talk to Maya a lot, and she would talk about everything. And we could explore everything about this big event. Death has to be the biggest bully on the planet. We're all scared of it. And it haunts many of us, most of our life. And here was Maya walking up to that doorway. And many people know, there's people here who know that she was at the 10:30 AA meeting the Wednesday before she took the hemlock the next day. She was there, she was talking about it, she was fresh, she was alert, she was intact. You could tell that she was unburdened. There wasn't a lot of neurotic stuff floating around, you know, and I just said to myself, here is a woman that has done her work. She has done this very strong AA work that we do, where we try to apply these principles in our life. And of course, the biggest victory was with Polly. We all shared that, you know, and we know the reconciliation was so important, and it was so powerful and so loving. So I'm here to say, you know, when my time comes, I hope I can be like Maya and be clear and clean and unfettered. And it might not go that way. You never know, you know. But thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bill. Please welcome Karen Evans.
Oh, what an honor, but a sad honor to be here. Like everyone in this room, I deeply miss Maya in so many ways. She was, first of all, a wonderful friend, someone to have the deepest conversations with, someone who'd listen, someone who laughed, and I just cherished her spirit, her courage right to the end in the face of the challenges she faced. My last communication with her was typical of her honesty. I sent her a message and said, "Want to get coffee?" She said, "No, I'm sorry, that's the day I'm taking the hemlock." And I was just shocked, but you know, I understood. She'd been very honest about her intentions, and I really respect the honest, courageous way she met her end. I went to a meeting, and I had mentioned, she was kind of a sponsor, but you know, we were such good friends that kind of the lines were blurred. And at a meeting, I said I was really missing this woman, and some of the people knew her, and one boy popped up and he said, "She was the one who was so honest, right?" I said, yeah. So she was known for that. You know, the decorating, every time I went to their apartment, as people have mentioned before, it was different, but it was always beautiful. And she had a gorgeous sense of color. And I think she was just always in search of beauty. You know, she'd find a new way to do it. And she often offered to come to our house, which is filled with two very hairy huskies, way too much furniture, and a very prickly husband, and I just could never say yes, so I think that frustrated her. You know, she was such fun to talk to. She was a reader. She always had some great new book to recommend, and you know what I loved most about her is, if anyone I know, she and Rico practiced the program the best. You know, she would say, yeah, we get up, we do our readings, our meditation, we talk to each other about whatever we've read, and then we go to a meeting, you know, and it was just so encouraging to see that kind of depth of understanding and intention that she had. She was a writer too, which I don't think many people know, but she read me some things. It was very eloquent and very meaningful. I doubt that she showed it much, but she was good at that. And anytime we met, we talked, and often it turned to spiritual matters. And I remember at one point, I'll never forget, she said, you know, I think it all comes down to gratitude and acceptance. And I remembered that, you know, and I think she was so right. She was a lot of fun. We had some great times. And one of the last times, she was talking about Polly. And she said, yeah, Polly and I were meeting, and Polly raised her hand. She said, it's going to be a great day. And I think in the spirit of Maya, we should all have a great day. So thank you.
Please welcome Beth Mannix.
Well, it is a blessing to be up here. I know many of you were so close to her. And the last time I talked to Maya, I asked her if there was anything I could do for her, and she said, well, you go to my celebration of life and tell people that I'm okay. And so that's what I want to do, is convey that she is okay. She really wasn't afraid of death. It was the oddest thing when she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. She met me and she was just happy as can be to join the ranks with me and have stage 4 cancer. I was just shocked. And she was just like, oh, now we have something in common. And you're just so brave. And I just hope to be brave like you. And she was just thrilled with the whole thing. And it kind of drove me crazy. But she really, really, honest to God, was not afraid of death at all. And I think it's because, as everybody has shared, she was such a seeker. And she really found faith that was so admirable and so strong. And throughout my sobriety and our friendship, no matter where we were, in a hallway, on a sidewalk, God, she'd do it in the middle of a crosswalk even if she could. She'd grab my hands and say, can we just pray about it? And her prayers were always to support and validate me and to let me know that God loves me. She loved love. She loved us all. She loved us all so much. She loved God and she loved us so much. And I think her truth-telling was her trying to love herself that much too, you know? So she was willing to expose her underwear, if you will, so we could tell her how much we loved her. Because that's what she did for me, definitely. I got completely off script. We grew very, very close during COVID. She was my pod during COVID. I had fractured 9 bones in my foot, and some cancer drugs that they were giving me weren't healing. So we walked every day. And she scared me because she was always early, and I was in big trouble if I was just on time. We would read. I had like a bag of just AA sayings, and we would read a saying, and then we'd talk about what it meant to us, and we'd go walking. And we grew so close. And I am so blessed that I do know a lot of the stories that you guys talked about, even though I don't feel like I'm the closest person in the last few years. But she was very open with me. And I think what I want to say is she just changed my life in such a permanent way. And I was blessed in being able to tell her that to her face, because she did decide when she was going to take her life. And I wouldn't have gotten to say that had I not known. I took for granted that she was going to be around a lot longer, and I was pretty disappointed in her that she decided to do this, honestly. But I did get the gift of telling her how much she meant to me. She lives in my heart, always. She is here in this room. I know you guys have to feel her. She's here. And she changed my life in many, many ways, one of which is I drive very carefully in downtown Oakland because she was a terrible jaywalker. And there might be a woman like Maya crossing against the light. I learned how to move heavy furniture by myself with a paper box. She decided that I was going to be friends with Karen, and at the time I was newly sober and thought I had too many friends. Thank God I've learned that's not true. But she told me I was going to be friends with Karen, and I was not happy with her. But she kept setting us up, and now I love Karen, and Karen's a gift in my life. And she also, most of all, taught me that if I'm authentic, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be lonely, because she role modeled being authentic, and she still had people that loved her, and she was willing to let people not love her too. She was so strong and so solid, and she taught me that I'm okay and I can be strong and solid too. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Najma. Please welcome Najma Davis.
Hello, everybody. So we're here to celebrate Maya, my wonderful friend, Maya was my best friend, an anchor in my life, and a truly remarkable person. She possessed a rare combination of mental and physical strength, moving through life with an emotionally grounded presence that comforted everyone around her. I will miss all the times that we spent together, walking to the hair salon, driving to the nail salon, and running errands. But as many of you know, she was also a fierce rule breaker, which in her mind simply meant that she was a rule maker. If there was a sign that said no U-turn, Maya took that as a personal invitation to spin the car around right there and then. She brought the same bold, defiant energy to her work as an interior decorator that everybody has spoken about today. She absolutely loved helping people rewrite the rules of design, pouring her heart into sharing tasteful, wonderful ideas that turn ordinary houses into gorgeous homes. As for her own home, change was constant. Every time you went, the decorations had changed. The living room was where the dining room was, and vice versa. Bedrooms had changed. Closets had been rearranged. And when Polly bought her home, she was so happy that Polly said she could be her interior decorator. She brought linens prior to even going to fix the home, and she loved it so much. Besides that, we also spent many Sundays together at Timeless Coffee, talking for hours about our families and our life experiences. Eventually, our conversations would drift into solving world problems. By the time we finished our coffee, Maya and I had successfully cured world hunger and established global peace, completely eliminating wars and world hunger over a couple of coffees. We made a pretty incredible team. My regret is that the UN never found out about us. Beyond our coffee dates, I always deeply miss our wonderful get-togethers at Maya's home. I cherish the memories of having lunch there, with Polly preparing the most delicious yet incredibly healthy meals. After eating, we would dive into playing board games. Those afternoons are always filled with fierce but friendly competition, immense humor, and endless laughter. That will be my memory of her always. Rico, the love and care that Maya had for you was boundless. As a Vietnam veteran dealing with the heavy burdens of Agent Orange, Parkinson's, and severe diabetes, your strength has been incredible. But Maya's strength matched yours completely. Even while battling her own cancer diagnosis, she refused to let her health problems stop her. She cared for you from home with fierce love and dedication. And she was so deeply comforted knowing how beautifully the whole family stepped up to support your treatment needs along with hers. Polly, she was in absolute awe of your international fame as a world-class kayaking instructor. She beamed with pride over you receiving a permanent residency in New Zealand for your excellent teaching, guiding people safely through rough waters and waterfalls, clearly conquering chaotic rivers, creating culinary masterpieces, and rewriting the rules runs in the family. But most of all, Polly, she loved going to your new home, being your interior decorator, and sitting on a boulder, admiring the river that ran in front of your home, looking at the beautiful trees. She said this is where she felt one with nature. And Ajax, she was so incredibly proud of your musical gifts, especially your dedication to teaching music to elementary school students on top of your regular job. She also absolutely loved how funny you are. She would proudly tell me that you were dubbed the CFO, the Chief Fun Officer, at your job because you kept all your colleagues laughing. More than anything, she marveled at what a devoted son you have always been to both her and Rico. Your kindness and humor meant the world to her. Maya brought structure, elegance, and healthy dose of rebellion into my world. She showed us all that true love, resilience, and strength look like in the face of adversity. Her absence leaves a profound void, but the light and laughter she gave us will never fade. Rest in peace, my beautiful friend, while we celebrate your life. Thank you.
One of my favorite things about memorials is hearing the stories that I never heard. I spent most of my life with her, and there's still stories that I have not heard. We have a little more time. If anyone has a story that they would like to share, please raise your hand. The yellow necklace.
Thank you, Ajax. I just wanted to share this because Maya is so fun. And in the week, Saturday, she announced at the meeting that she was gonna die on Thursday, and we all were, I gasped and tried to be cool. I was like, oh, honey, this isn't about you. You know, I was secretary, and I was like, oh, this isn't about me. And as people have said, she was it was wonderful. She was so at peace. She was so at ease. And so that week, I would just text her every day and just say, hey, and just send her a little silly note. And so on Mother's Day, I said, Maya, may you have on Tuesday, I was like, Maya, may you have a most beautiful Tuesday. Sorry. I'm feeling a little, So on Sunday, the day after, I said, Happy Mother's Day, Maya. You're so fabulous and loved by so many, including myself. Thanks for being you. Sweet dreams. And she said, oh, Annie, sweet dreams back. To you and love. Keep sharing your quirky self. It's your quirky, fabulous self. And then, it kind of goes on. And then on Tuesday, I wrote, Maya, may you have a most beautiful Tuesday. I love you to bits. And she wrote, I will be in bits soon. Thanks for loving me, dear Annie. And I was like, oh, and I told Tiffany, my wife, and just like, that's her. Like, she just, as Rico said, she lived life on life's terms, and part of life's terms is dying, and she was embracing it. So thanks for letting me share that.
Yes, there's a hand in the back.
Hi, I'm Christine, an alcoholic. So I met Maya and Rico when they first moved here, and it's when we had our meetings in, I feel like I'm so loud, at Rockridge when it was on Broadway. And very bold, very outspoken. I like that. I'm bold and I'm outspoken. But she was like really honest, which was a little intimidating, but I really like that. So one day, she's brand new to our fellowship, and she changed all the furniture, like early, and people were angry, and there was like a big thing about it, and like a meeting and a group conscience, and then I thought, damn, girl, you need to read the room and learn how to ease in slowly. But I do want to just touch, it takes a lot of courage to be that bold. And she would say the truth to me about stuff that I didn't that I didn't want to hear. And then Rico would, I don't know, you'd be just give me a soft, like the two together would, you know. Anyway, I love her and I love you.
Yes, please.
Hello, I'm Linda. I, like everybody else in this room, adored Maya. And she also helped me through so many things. I used to come down and we would walk Lake Merritt. And later, as we got older, we would go out to lunch. And I always would drive Maya and Rico crazy because I could never remember where I parked my car. And these days I've been diagnosed with dementia, which runs in my family, so it's not a big surprise. And Maya and I had talked about that many times. Maya was full of color. She always had your best intentions, her best intentions for what she was going to say to you. But sometimes I was like, oh, Maya. She redid my, my living room multiple times. And I never changed it. She made me laugh like crazy, but one of the best things that she taught me, which I'm needing right now, is to live the best life I can, even with the dementia. And so that means getting exercise, it means seeing friends, it means working in my garden, it means all of those things. And I think I would have gotten there, but I wouldn't have gotten there as fast if I hadn't known Maya, because she was the one that said, you have to make your life happy. So, love you, Maya. Okay.
Yes, please.
I met Maya for the first time at a meeting here at the Spiritual Center of Living. And I'd asked somebody a couple of weeks before, because I was looking for a sponsor. I'm a little bit of a snob. I wanted to have someone that had more time than me. And she recommended Maya. And Maya, she said, she goes to this meeting at 10:30. I'm like, I work. I can't get to a 10:30 meeting. Turns out Maya showed up within the next 2 weeks, and she shared, and I ran over to her site. I didn't know anything about her other than this would be a good sponsor, and I asked her to be my sponsor, and she agreed. And I'm so, so grateful for that. She called me before she decided, she let me know she was going to take the hemlock. I didn't remember that it was hemlock, but she called me. And so I sent her a text message on her 52nd birthday. And if I'd like to just read it. My dearest Maya, happy 52 years of incredible sobriety. You are such an amazing example of what it looks like to be sober, to have worked the steps, to live a life of emotional sobriety. I cannot tell you how much you mean to me and how much you have helped me with my own sobriety. I cherish the time we spent together in your basement at your house, meditating, praying, working through so much. So Maya was very much like my own mom. So I worked through a lot of my mom issues. And I felt like a lot of times, sorry, Polly, but I felt so much like she was my mom. And I loved her so much, and I know how much she loved you. We talked a lot about you when I worked with her. I appreciate your authenticity. And you have modeled being exactly who you are. I'm grateful for the permission that you've given me to be exactly who I am by your example. More than anything, you gave me the ability to hear God. Tell me how much he loves us and how much he loves you and all of us. Enjoy this day, her 52nd birthday, 52 years of sobriety, and know you will be forever in my heart. What surprised me more than anything is that she texted me back that day, and I was just so touched by that. I just loved Maya so very much, and I miss her so much. And thank you for sharing her with me, Rico and Polly and Ajax.
Thank you, everyone, for, again, being here and for your shares. I'm going to share, before we close, a poem by Rumi that was really important to both of my parents, and it's called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And in closing, I'd like to invite everybody to stand, and we're going to say the we version of the Serenity Prayer. And you're welcome to hold hands if that feels okay for you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work. Yep.
All right, everyone, we want Maya to hear us in heaven now, so let's give her one last big round of applause. Life well lived. Thank you so much for coming. Please enjoy some finger foods and coffee next door. Thank you.